What's really good, LeSBP trading familia? Buenos dias, bonjour, bom dia. Thank you all for tuning in. So, today we'll be going over the personal account. I traded on Hugo's Way today. I won't be trading on FTMO at least for another 5 days because that's when we finally get our real account. So let's go ahead and jump right into that really quick so I can show you that one first. So, looking here on the FTMO account side, I am on the verification stage, and basically we still have 5 days. Yeah, 5 days left. So in order to get those 5 days out of the way, I have to keep doing 0.01 lot sizes for the rest of the days until I am completed. All right, so next. Today, April 17th at 8:30, there was Empire State Manufacturing Index. Not a super duper high news event, but it is still a high news event all the less. So we still treat it as such. I was trying to jot down, take notes, and see exactly how I was supposed to treat this day. I have traded it once before. Doesn't really give a big push. It's not really that big of a deal, but the day does seem to be very choppy on this particular day for whatever reason. I don't know exactly, but it does seem very choppy. So gotta watch out for that, because to me, if it's going to be extremely choppy almost every time I trade it, I'm just going to leave it alone. So that's going to be one of the things that you might see next month. All right, looking at the chart, we got chopped up. We got chopped up today, but I mean, to me, it's okay because I did listen to my strategy, or I conducted my strategy today. We traded according to it. We made sure to follow through as much as possible with that, so I'm not mad at that. I did kind of mess up on my plan, which was the strategy is basically taking the trades. The plan is like how many trades I'm going to take, how many losses I'm willing to take, stop losses, take profits, and stuff like that or whatever. So I did kind of mess up on that, but I'll get further into that in a second. So first things first, high news today, realized support resistance area while in the trade at about 807. So during this first trade, we did end up taking it as a loss. We took this at about 803, maybe 804. But by 807, I realized there was a support resistance area up here that, price might be attracted to. Now, later on, I did not predict that price was going to be attracted to it so much, but as we continue, you'll see that price kind of kept coming back and forth to it. So we took another trade here. This one was a buy instead of a sell. I changed my bias with the market structure. I changed my bias with how the market goes. So if I'm seeing buys, I'm trying to buy. If I'm seeing sells, I'm seeing sells. Of course, I have other confluences, but overall, market structure is going to pretty much tell me where I need to be looking at. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and go that way, because if you've never traded on the 1 minute time frame, everything moves relatively quickly, especially with indices and like stuff like commodities like gold or whatever. If you're not moving with the market, then, and you were trading like me on the 1 minute chart, and you're not looking at those higher time frames, because I don't look at the higher time frames, then you're pretty much going to be, chopped up. Either way, even if you know, like, all right, I want to trade buys. If you're trying to trade sells when you should be trying to trade buys and you're not making that decision quick enough, you're going to be chopped up, basically is what I'm trying to say. So the third trade, not the most favorable trade, and to be honest, it didn't even look that good, but it met the strategy. One big thing that I'm trying to do is really, really, really stick to strategical trades. Now, yes, I do need to be able to differentiate between the good trades and the bad trades, and what makes it a bad trade, what makes it a good trade, and stuff like that or whatever. But at the same time, for right now, because it's working, I am going to trade according to strict strategy. So if it meets the confluences, if it meets my strategy, I'm getting in. If I lose, I lose, and I'm fine with that, because I know that for the most part, my strategy is only like 23% win rate. Low end, it might be 15%, but overall, I'm willing to go ahead and take that on, knowing that that's how much I'll lose and how much I'll win in comparison, because over the long haul, I will win. Now, will that work on FTMO? We'll see. So, all right, price is moving around like a rabbit in heat, bro. This price was just going up, down, up, down, up, down. And under this, where you can see this little red, that's the 4-hour support resistance area that we've been messing around with for like 2 weeks now. The very next trade was a sell, and you'll see a lot of sells today because honestly, I was looking more or less for sells. I was hoping for sell potential, and it was giving us those sells. It just wasn't going anywhere. I hate these big impulsive candles. They throw off my confluences. Basically, when these candles hit sometimes, and it's not every time, but sometimes when you see these big impulsive candles, they're pushing through my confluences. So pushing through structure, they're pushing through prices, making engulfing. They're going off of support resistance or my EMAs, stuff like that or whatever. And to be honest, it goes back to the last one before that. I need to be able to differentiate between, which one's good, which one's bad. But for the most part, from what I see, it always retraces. Now, of course, I don't know for sure that it's going to retrace, so I just follow the strategy. And if it meets the strategy, I get in. But for the most part, I kind of get screwed when I take these kind of trades, which is why you see this loss, and which is why I didn't take this trade because, well, it would have been a just break even. This time it wouldn't have been a loss, but it would have been a break even right here. But the one caveat between this thing and it going down to touch at this certain time, I was like, well, in my head, to be honest, the closer the price is to the 4-hour area, when I get into the trade, the better I'll feel about it. So if I was going to end up getting buy positions, I would have felt good about it bouncing off that 4-hour and then moving up, or pushing through the 4-hour and then going down. I was really hoping for the push, though. I was hoping for it to push and then go through so I can trade on the downside. But it kept playing around. It literally kept playing around, kept touching this support resistance zone. I was getting pissed. So I got into this trade. It was a break even. Then I ended up getting into 2 more break even trades. And I know I wrote this note right here, but it's really after this trade right here. So at this point, I'm just being nickel and dime for break even stop losses. So I think I'll just hang it up for the day. We took 3 break even trades back to back. And by now, I would already have stopped on the FTMO account because I can't lose more than a certain amount per day. If you know anything about FTMO, there are certain objectives that you have to abide by. And basically, after I took all these trades, that would be me losing my account. Like, no questions asked. Because of the simple fact that I think I lost 63.7 pips today, maybe a little bit more. And I'm really only supposed to be losing about no more than about 52, 53. And depending on lot size, well, actually my lot size now, I can't lose any more than like 49, to be honest, because 50 is the end all be all. So what I ended up doing was, I think I'm just going to, which is in the next note, I think I'm going to just cut myself off at 4 losses instead of 5. But anyways, we'll move forward from there. So number 2, I should probably mirror the FTMO account as much as possible on my private account, just so I stay used to following the objectives now rather than losing the account and thinking about it later. That's kind of self-explanatory. And then this is the very last trade of the day. Apparently I wasn't satisfied with cutting the day off until I really lost 5 trades, because that's how my trading strategy usually works. If I lose 5, I know that I'm good on the day. Like it's probably going to maybe way later in the day be some kind of great trade somewhere, but if I've already lost 5, I'm good at 5 losses. So have to learn this lesson quick. Hold on, what did I say? Apparently I wasn't satisfied with cutting the day off until I lost 5 trades instead of having any kind of break even, because basically those break evens added up to a 5th loss, but instead I really needed to see like an actual loss for whatever reason. So I could have just took the break evens, having 3 of those, because if you know anything about my break evens, even my break evens are very small losses because I actually put it above the break even line just to make sure it doesn't come back out, tap me out just by a tit and then leave. But number 1, I have to learn this lesson quick. We have about 5 more days until we become legit FTMO traders, and I'm honestly thinking of taking my daily loss trade count down to 4 instead of 5. The simple reason for that is the decreasing in loss trade count, and that the calculation of profit over loss would be about 50.3 pips if I'm taking 12.7 pips of loss each trade for 4 trades. So came up with that number because of some fact that I know in most cases, by the time I get to 3, 4, and 5 trades, like if I've already lost those in a row, it's not going to be a good day. It already isn't going to be a day. And it's going to be either a choppy day, or it's going to be a day where I'm just like, well, I should just stay out the market, blah, blah. And that's just how my strategy works. Usually, if I can get in early in the morning, take about 2 trades, maybe 3 at max, and then I'm in that nice trade for the long haul for the rest of the day. That kind of works out for me. When I'm getting up to over 3, when I'm at 4, and then I'm trying to take the 5th, and then it's breaking even, and I'm trying to take another, technical 5th, and stuff like that. Most of the time, those days aren't really good. So I might end up hanging out with just 4 trades instead of 5. And then last note, looking at last month, on this day, the market was extremely choppy that time as well. I'll give it one more try next month, and if it confirms, we will definitely not be trading this day. Basically, if it's a choppy day, I don't want it. I don't want to take the L's for no reason. I don't want to be in that day for no reason. And if it's just going to be choppy at the whole, especially like at the beginning of the day, and then it's going to be great by the end of the day, I'm going to just leave that day alone. I'm okay with not taking a trade for that day. Totally cool with it. So as you can see, it kind of dropped down, then it just stayed about, and then and now it's coming back up past that 4-hour support resistance area. So it's pretty much doing the same thing it was doing some parts of last week and the week before last, where it was just hanging around this 4-hour support resistance area. Now, don't get me wrong, the range was a lot bigger, so it made it a lot easier to win what we were looking for, which was 120 pips. But today, because I'm not a full support resistance trader, because there were definitely a couple chances where if I was just a support resistance trader, that like, oh, it would have been good to get in at. But since I'm not just support resistance and I use EMAs, I use a buy and sell signal as well, it kind of sometimes puts me in a little late, I'm not gonna lie. So for me, it just wasn't one of those days where I could go along with the ride. It was more or less like, hey, choppy, chop, 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 chop. So other than that, I had a photo. Oh yeah, I had a photo, but basically I think I ended up deleting it because of some fact that you already saw. I took the picture like somewhere right here, and I was like, oh, I should have gotten this trade. And then by the time it played out, I was like, oh yeah, never mind, I shouldn't have gotten that trade. So either way, we got kind of lucky. And just to show you on the Hugo's Way account what we lost for the day, I think it was like $200, to be honest with you. On the day, and once again, I'll show you. I'm probably gonna stop doing that because I'm like, y'all can believe me or not, but whatever. Yeah, we lost $216.33 today. So wasn't the best day, but as you can see, we took a lot of trades, man. We took a lot of trades, and a lot of them hit stop loss. And I should have just stopped. I should have just stopped, ended it out, said, all right, you know what, let's step back, let's not take any more trades. And I mean, you can look at some of these trades and be like, bro, what were you doing? You know what I mean? Like, especially these first couple trades where I lost $39, $43. We had a whole lot of pips. Like, the first one was 13.12 pips, 14.62 pips, then we had a 7.87, then 11.12, then 2.87, and that's like one of my break evens. Then a 4.12 and a 4.3, and I count those as break evens only because of some fact that, like, I know for most cases we're going to lose about 30 plus. So to me, anything under 5 pips is really a break even. Then we had this 13.62, which put the icing on the cake. It brought us over the $200 because we were at like 175 or something like that. So I honestly should have just stopped. But sometimes you got to learn through experiences. So we are good. I'm done on the day. Not gonna trade anymore. I don't care how good it looks. It's already 320. So yeah, I'm good. I'm done, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, yeah, I don't need to save that. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Ever since last week, we're still up to 59.86. Not all that fantastic because we're at 925 now. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We were at 1,142, if I believe correctly. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I definitely got to tighten that up just a little bit. So, all right, y'all. See you. Thank you. Hope you all have a wonderful Monday. Very, very good learning experience. I'm not mad at all at any of the trades. They weren't bad trades. I was about to say they're bad trades. They weren't bad trades. I think my planning was slightly off. It was the fact that I was like, oh yeah, I think I actually have FOMO today. It's like, I don't have FOMO very much, but usually I have the fear of losing, but the fear of missing out. I think I did have FOMO today. So That's an interesting feeling because I'm usually just really what's not tedious. I'm really timid on the trades that I do take. So either way, appreciate it. Thank y'all. Hope y'all have a mighty fine Monday and that it was productive. All right, y'all. We out. Peace.